Hello, folks. I'm Bradford Becker. Welcome to Red Barn Radio. We are now continuing on in our 24th year of broadcasting, and tonight we bring you Roots Music Southern Style, episode number 926. And Joe Troop is our guest this evening on Red Barn Radio. Joe comes to us from the North Carolina Piedmont. He plays banjo expertly and is a heavenly singer, but he's also more than handy with other stringed instruments. Joe is one half of the acclaimed Pan-American folk duo Lottie and Joe and founder of Grammy-nominated string band Che Apalache. His music is deeply inspired by a decade living in Buenos Aires and traveling throughout Latin America and the world. Welcome, Joe Troop, to Red Barn Radio.
Well, I was born in the Southland. Some 43 odd years ago. Well, I ran away for the first time when I was 19 years old. I'm a freeborn man. My home is on my back. I know every inch of the highway, every foot of the back road, mile of the railroad track. Play an old Hamlet banjo. Alfred Michaels fiddled a song in hand. I had it stolen in Buenos Aires, but then I got it back because I'm a freeborn man. My home is on my back. I know every inch of the highway, every foot of the back road, mile of the railroad track. I had a boy in Buenos Aires, got a girl in Caroline. I came out queer as a shite house rat, so judge me, I don't mind. I'm a freeborn man. My home is on my back. I know every inch of the Piedmont, Bastante de Sevilla, y la Chino Kamimura. Buenos Aires, la locura. Moateiro con la luna. I'm a freeborn man. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner. NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. LexArts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performance.
Joe Troop is our guest tonight. When not on the road with his musical soul brother, Raleigh-based Venezuelan folk music legend Larry Bellorín. Joe also leads North Carolina-based bands The Truth Machine, Bluegrass for Social Justice, and a Latin jazz-inspired folk rock group called Whirlwind. This talented singer and songwriter has collaborated with artists you know, like Tim O'Brien, Béla Fleck, Abigail Washburn. Tonight he's here with us for a very special show performance. Welcome to an evening of music and conversation with Joe Troop. Joe, you just played a song that we're all familiar with, Freeborn Man. Are you going to take things in a little bit of a different direction now?
I am indeed, Brad. I'm from North Carolina, as you mentioned, and I grew up listening to Appalachian string band music. Songs like the one I started with, Freeborn Man, spoke to me when I was young. I really loved that idea of rambling about far and wide and playing music. And so at 19, I made my first move, and I embarked upon a 2-year journey in Andalusia, in southern Spain. And it was in the city of Sevilla, in Seville, that the soundtrack of my life drastically transformed.
All right. Joe Troop.
Thanks, y'all. Well, yeah, so at the age of 19, in 2002 it was, my concept of human expression was completely transformed by flamenco. But as I was falling in love with that music over in Spain, I quickly realized that I wasn't the only foreigner in town. In fact, the second week I was in Sevilla, I was walking up this cobblestone street in the city center, and from afar, I saw this young man, maybe a couple years older than me. He was playing this accordion-like instrument that was draped over his lap, and he was gesticulating wildly. He had these long, poofy black curls, and he was sassy and irreverent. He had these like cute little stud earrings, and he was queer, and he had urban street smarts that I certainly didn't have. And for a little bumpkin from the North Carolina Piedmont, seeing a creature like that was mesmerizing. So as I approached this guy, his music, which certainly was not flamenco, I understood that much. I didn't know what it was. Whatever it was, caught my attention, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. A whole new vibe, something like this. So when this guy took a break to smoke a cigarette, I approached him, and in my still broken Spanish, I said, "Dude, that was amazing. What's your name?" He said, "Estanislao." "Where are you from?" "Buenos Aires, Argentina." "And what instrument is that?" He said, "El bandoneón." And I said, "Well, what kind of music was that?" He said, "Bueno, toqué un par de tangos, unas milongas, un poco de folclore del Río de la Plata, digamos." And I said, "I have no idea what you just said, but I would love it if you taught me some of that music." So he invited me over to his house the next day. And to make a long story short, that chance encounter with the bandoneon was the beginning of my now decades-long romance with Argentina. I formed a duo with Estanislao called La Minnesunda, and through him, I met my core group of friends in Spain, recent immigrants from Buenos Aires. And then a few years later, they convinced me to move down to their city for a minute. The shoe fit, and I stayed for a decade. So that's how that happened. But before I did that, I had this other itch to scratch, because in Spain, I was going to these underground tablaos, which is basically venues or bars or whatever, where anywhere flamenco is played. It's called a tablao over there. And I met all these young Japanese dancers and musicians that were studying both flamenco and Spanish, like me. And I became friends with them, so I started studying their language. And then when I finished college at age 22, I got this gig teaching English in a remote village of 600 people in the Japanese Alps in Minami Shinshu, in a place called Idashi Kamimura no Shimogiri no Sato. And so at the age of 22, I embarked on yet another 2-year stint in a far-flung corner of the world, where once again the soundtrack of my day-to-day life changed. And it was something more like this. Haru no tayori 里に届いて冬の寒さ日々柔らかいでゆくおじおばもちっちゃい子らとお日様浴びてお喜ぶな 静の目覚め桜の香り日差しさんさん気分爽快向こうの山から雪解け水が里の田んぼまで養いに来るよSo yeah, Japanese hillbilly music is alive and well over there. They've even got their own banjo, a 3-string banjo called the shamisen. And it's a really cool place. I fit right in. So after a couple years in Japan, I came back to the States for a minute to start performing bluegrass, making my living off of music for the first time at the age of 24. But the allure of Argentina was growing stronger and stronger. So in early 2010, on a whim, I just sold all my stuff, and I decided to move down to Buenos Aires. I packed up my suitcase, my banjo, and my fiddle, and I took a flight to Buenos Aires. And as soon as I got down there, I was able to connect with all these musicians that played jazz manouche, what we call gypsy jazz here, the music of Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli. There's a big scene of that music in Buenos Aires. So I quickly networked with all these young musicians, and I got to go to all these late-night jams. I remember my second month in Buenos Aires, I was at my buddy Roque's house. We were playing music until like 4 in the morning, and then I realized time had kind of evaporated and I needed to get home because the next morning I had something to do. So I said, man, that was fun. I'm going to go home and sleep in my own bed. I'm going to take a bus home. And my friend Roque said, no, dude, you're in Constitucion. This is a dangerous neighborhood. I'll buy you a taxi for you, man. Don't worry. Don't worry about taking a bus. And I said, no, yeah, I'm a big boy. I've lived all over the world. You ain't going to tell me what I can and can't do. I'm going to take a bus home. And he said, all right, have it your way. So I struck out for the bus stop, and then I got jumped by a gang, and they roughed me up a little bit and stole my fiddle, and they ran off into the night with it. So a couple days later, after the dust was settling and I was bemoaning my own stupidity and stubbornness, I started composing this next piece, which is my first exploration of world music on the 5-string banjo. It's a tango that I wrote called Me afanaron en la parada del cuatro, which means I got mugged while waiting on the number 4 bus.
Wow. Well, if you're just joining us, folks, our guest this evening on the program is Joe Troop, and we've got a lot to talk about. I think we need to fill some gaps in your story. I'm just loving your narrative here.
Thank you.
But the narrative that began with your beginning here was an 18-year-old Joe Troop.
Yeah.
And I think we need to go back and let's bring us up to 18 a little bit. Like,
Sure.
for instance, where'd you learn to play that thing so good?
Man, I had such great teachers. It's funny. My entrance into music it seems like a lie, but it's a real story. My brother's about 8 years older than me. He was at App State. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but he was up in Boone.
Okay.
And so he would sometimes come and pick me up for a weekend trip. And he picked me up one weekend and was going to take me up to go hiking, but along the side of the road, Old 421, which was this old highway, it wasn't a 2-lane or 4-lane highway like it is now, there was this little country diner that you had to pass by to get up to Boone, and Thompson's Seafood. And on the little marquee they had it said live music tonight, Doc Watson and Friends. And my brother had heard of Doc Watson, I hadn't. And he said, "Oh, this will be fun, Joey. Let's go in and eat some food and listen to some music." So we sat at this table, literally the same table as Doc, while he and his community played music and danced, and sparks were just flying like lightning bolts shot through my imagination. And that was literally where I decided, oh, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Luckily, my entrance into this music was Doc Watson. I mean, you can't hope for anything better than that. But so then the next summer, I got a banjo, not this beautiful Hamlet banjo that I had to wait till I was in my 40s to get from my luthier, who's actually sitting right there. I got a pawn shop banjo, a Chinese banjo, and I started picking. I took from Gary Chilton, and then he sent me to Jody King, and then Jody sent me to Craig. My teachers wanted to share the other resources in town, so they asked me to study with several people, and those three guys, and then Rex McGee, another banjo player. These were all people I got to pal around with when I was a teenager. So I had really
you're talking about like teenager, like middle school or to early high school?
Yeah, like 14 to 18.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I started playing the banjo.
That doesn't sound true at all, but that's an amazing story. Wow. And so, had you played music before you played banjo?
Yeah, I took piano as a kid from this lady named Therese Capture, I think her name was, when I was real little. The community music school in Winston-Salem, great educational institution. And then by the time I was 12 or 13, I started studying with this Venezuelan pianist. His name's Federico Pivetta. Interestingly enough, I took music lessons from a Venezuelan when I was a kid. I had no idea where he was from.
Oh, come on.
He just happened to be my teacher. Now I play Venezuelan music with another Venezuelan musician.
Was there a seed planted?
I'm sure.
There?
I'm sure. You know, everything is kind of nebulous in childhood to remember exactly how people taught you. But I know that Fred, my piano teacher, had a huge impact on my musical sensibilities. He was always very encouraging. I think he suspected I would become a musician. He certainly knew I was not going to become a pianist. But he was very kind nonetheless, and fostered my musical interests.
Right, and taught you learned how to read music?
Very poorly. I was never really good at it. In fact, my first, Therese Capture, who I think that's her name, I can't even remember, but when I was a kid, I loved this piece. She showed me a bunch of pieces, and she was like, well, pick the one you like. And it was this Halloween piece. I don't remember what it was. But I listened really attentively, and I just loved it. I could immediately, I almost had it memorized by the time I heard her play it. Then I went home, and I thought I was reading music. But then I went in for the next lesson, and I played it in a different key. And she said, you know, people go to college for that. You just transpose that, but you're playing an exact transposition of it. That's how bad at reading music I was. But I could follow the shapes. So I enjoyed the geometry of music, but I was terrible at knowing which line was which note.
So have you notated, like, the songs that you've been playing so
None
far?
Of this is
it just all sounds so orchestral. They
It's all
sound
composed.
like classical pieces. I mean, almost, you know.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of, very highly orchestrated music. So that that's where that comes from. But no, I'm as Larry said, soy bastante burro. I'm very much a donkey as far as all that musical notation is concerned. I wish that were my skill, but I get I'm not a visually very gifted person. I struggle to even just stay on I'll skip lines when I'm reading and stuff, just a book. Mm-hmm. So I have trouble with the visual realm. It's not my forte, but I like the oral realm a lot. And I love memorization. And I love the geometry of music, which is music theory, but I sort of have like an abstract understanding of it. Yeah. In my own way.
All right. So 18, if I recall. From
19 when I went to Spain.
Okay. 19 when you went to Sevilla.
Sevilla, yeah.
Okay. And had you already begun some college studies at that point in time?
Yeah. So I did my freshman year at UNC. And this was a foreign exchange program between UNC and the University of Seville.
So this was a college
study
trip,
abroad.
A study abroad trip. Okay.
That permitted me to be there. And then I would say I may have done a little bit less college than I did exploration of other things while there, but that's not that important.
What were you supposed to be doing there?
Well, I studied. I read the books and I went to class and I did all that. But I just living in Spain at that time was phenomenal. I got to network with so many other young people and just people in general from all different corners of the world.
Outside of musical exchanges?
Through music. So in school, I studied Spanish and Japanese.
Okay.
I studied languages and French, foreign languages. That's what I was concentrated on academically. But really, where I feel like we're all pretty much self-taught. If we learn anything, you can get steered in, probably not in medicine or science, but in the humanities, you kind of just, if you're interested in something, you'll do your own research. So language learning, I was able to do in school by reading books and studying grammar methodically, but then you put it to practice and just hanging out with people. So Seville was a great city for me as a teenager, for sure. It was just wonderful. And there was this Erasmus program in Europe at that time within the European Union where students could study abroad very easily in different countries from all over Europe. So a lot of my classmates were from all over the European Union. And so I got to network with other kids from very different cultures. And like I said, there was a huge Japanese flamenco scene and got to hang out with them. And so I was popping off. As they say, I was really enjoying learning in many different ways.
So as you were telling the story, I was sort of picturing this little 19-year-old shy kid.
I wasn't that shy. I was very cara rota with this. I was very...
well, yeah, you went right up to the guy and said, what kind of music is that? Your Spanish was okay at that point.
It was getting there.
Yeah.
I had good teachers, but I wasn't studious until I was in Spain. I was a terrible student in that way. Like the motivation, when it happens in real life, then I get motivated. If I, like for example, music, like seeing Doc Watson, I was like, okay, motivation is now here. Being thrown in Spain and not understanding what was happening, that was when I said, oh, I have to be fluent in this. Yeah. Like I have to learn it.
Yeah. Do you ever think about how different your experience there would have been had you not arrived there with some ability in the language?
Yeah, well, it would have been very different. Yeah. Having a starting point was I had studied Spanish in grade school, so I had a decent understanding of the structure. I just needed to memorize a bunch of words and practice, But it would have been much more difficult. But people do it.
Well, so you talk about when you were in Sevilla, when you were in Argentina, when you were in Japan. You talk about how much you were sponging up from the scenes in those places. What were people sponging up from you? What were they curious about that you did on your instrument that they were unfamiliar with?
Well, that's like a very interesting segue into the next song I'm going to do. Incidentally, I was always like a bluegrass ambassador. I wanted to teach people the folk music traditions of where I'm from. And, you know, as I was still learning them, I still feel like I'm learning that music, you know. But I was able to, you know, talk about the history of the banjo and the fiddle and flat pick and the guitar. And, you know, no one had ever seen a violin played the way that I play it. And I was explaining, because this is part of it. It's a tradition. It's like, it's a different thing. It's not classical music. Every instrument has its own timbre and techniques in the Appalachian region, and people around the world in all those places you just mentioned that I live were fascinated. They're like, what's going on there? And I'd be like, oh, well, let me show you all this music. This is what we do. We go to fiddlers conventions. We meet people that make these instruments, like John, who made my banjo and my guitar.
Yeah.
It's a culture that's more than just the music itself. It's like seeing Doc Watson at a little country diner. What's cool is I got to share my experience in my folk music tradition with people while living in their folk music traditions.
That's great.
Kind of weird. Unabashedly, I was like, well, y'all should do some bluegrass. You know, I was always very forthright in my own identity. I never shied away from wanting people to know about Appalachian music.
So you have no Southern drawl left.
I can turn it on. I'd say it's weird. There's plenty of people in my family who speak with a Southern drawl 100% of the time.
You're doing it now.
Well, because I can code switch.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly happy and can communicate my everything I need to in this dialect, in this vernacular, if I have to. But I do code switch and I speak other languages. So there's a lot. Plus, television. I mean, I don't know what's more authentic. If you heard my parents speak, you'd know that I'm a Southerner, or my grandma. Most of my extended family. So it's not that I'm less Southern, but I have spoken standard American English. I've been able to use the code switching to my advantage. So, you know what I mean? Like I have kind of a different understanding of language because I like to, you know, half of my life I pretend I'm British. I speak to myself in a British accent just for fun.
No,
it's a bit odd, but
and now you're scaring me.
Yeah, I mean, I just think language. I don't think language necessarily defines us. That's why I don't even identify with the vernacular of where I happen to be born. I feel like beyond what languages we speak and what dialects of them, or what accents we have in them, beyond all of that, we are something more than what that is. So I kind of, that identity I think is important, but only hasta ahí.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, it's like you're a musician switch around to go work in different sort of idioms. And,
totally.
And you're a musician. Language is another kind of music.
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair, like Winston-Salem, North Carolina doesn't have the thickest drawl. Where I'm from in the North Carolina Piedmont, there are, you know.
Well, the one you were mimicking was pretty good drawl.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things out there. I mean, if we go whole hog hillbilly, I can do it.
What are we gonna play next? Your next tune is how do you pronounce that?
Monte Oscuro.
Monte Oscuro.
So this one is based off of a traditional bluegrass song. You know that one, Dark Hollow?
Oh yes. Most people know it from the Grateful Dead, right?
What do you say?
Most people know it from the Grateful Dead.
Oh, that's right. The Dead did it.
Yeah, right.
So the Dead has those.
Yeah,
too.
but yes.
For those of you that don't know it, it goes, I'd rather be in some dark holler where the sun don't ever shine than to be in New York City in a small room with your love on my mind. So blow your whistle, freight train, carry me farther on down the track. I'm going away, I'm leaving today. I'm going, but I ain't coming back. That's how that goes. But so what I'm gonna do is that same song through an Argentinian folk music lens. I started doing this Latin grass exploration in Argentina with my students, my banjo students, believe it or not. I had hundreds of bluegrass banjo students in Argentina. I formed a band with 3 of them, which was the one you mentioned, Che Apalache.
Yeah, right.
And we did what was called Latin grass. So we would do explorations, like blur the lines between the traditions. So we take a traditional bluegrass song and maybe play it in an Argentinian style. So that's what I'm going to do. And then we'll see if you still recognize it
All right.
through this filter. Prefiero noches en un monte oscuro, donde el sol jamás brillará, que a vivir en Buenos Aires una historia que ya no da más. Chofer, llévame hasta el fin del mundo, que la ciudad quede bien atrás. Me voy de acá, me rajo ya. Me voy y no vuelvo más. Llévame hasta el fin del mundo, que la ciudad quede bien atrás. Me voy de acá, me rajo ya. Me voy, no vuelvo más. Did you recognize it? Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's like a little Latin grass concept. I'm gonna do one now that oh, it's interesting. That fiddle that was stolen, I got it back. It must have circulated through Buenos Aires for a couple months, but then it wound up making its way somehow to the city of La Plata, about an hour, between an hour and 8 hours from Buenos Aires, depending on the traffic. And whoever was handling it sold it to this tango violinist, this older gentleman named Héctor Almerares. And they called him to come check out this instrument to some like back alleyway behind a church. And he was immediately suspicious that it was a stolen instrument. He took it out of the case. He loved it. He felt the craftsmanship was amazing. So he lowballed him and he said, look, I'll give you $800 for it. And they said, sure. Okay, great. They were anxious to get rid of the instrument. He gets home and he asked his nephew to Google the luthier's name, because the luthier's name is inside the box of the instrument. And Alfred Michels was the name. And then he Googles it, and up comes a page, Violín Robado, Stolen Violin, which was a Facebook page one of my students made for the instrument's recovery, feeling sorry for the gringo in town with no street smarts. So she made this page, and then Héctor wrote me. He said, hey man, I bought your fiddle. Come pay me what you paid. Come pay me what I paid for it, and you can have it back. So I drove to La Plata. I paid him $800, and I got my fiddle back, and I learned a very important lesson about Argentina. Buenos Aires is the kind of city that makes you feel grateful to be able to buy back something that was already yours in the first place. And so I got my fiddle back, and honestly, I was teaching banjo for a living, but a lot of the work that I did was playing what they call gypsy jazz, jazz manouche, French jazz on the fiddle. And I lived with a band that played that music for a minute in this third-story apartment. It was a pigsty, a bachelor pad. And in the living room, there we had this beautiful yellow leather couch, and over the couch hung a portrait of Django Reinhardt and our group's hero. So one night, we were playing music real late. We were enveloped in curtains of cigarette smoke. And then a little head popped up from under Django. And I screamed and I said, "Y'all, look, there's a rat." And everyone looked at the rat. And the rat freaked out. He jumped up onto the brim of the couch, and he scurried along, and he pounced onto the living room floor, shot into the kitchen, jumped up onto the counter, and then leapt. He like kamikazed out the window into the building's central patio. And then the lead guitarist of the band, with a still lit cigarette in his mouth, he takes it out and he goes, "Chicos, de ahora en adelante, esta casa se llama Django's Palace." He christened our house Django's Palace. And that was the inspiration for this next song. It's called Django's Palace. It's a mashup of elements of Argentinian tango and of jazz manouche, French jazz, for that group of Argentinian buddies of mine and our hero, Django Reinhardt. So Django's Palace. Thank you. So I'm going to do another one now. This song is one that reminds me of one of my best friends in Argentina. His name was Titillo, and Titillo was a country boy from Mendoza whose family relocated to Buenos Aires when he was a teenager, and he never left. But the countryside also never left him. Titillo was a total eccentric. He was a handyman by trade, a jack of all trades, but at night he would traverse the entire city of Buenos Aires on his bicycle, always clad in his legendary overalls. And his apartment was the greatest constant in my life in Buenos Aires. I would make nearly weekly trips to hang out with him, to eat torta de ricota and chipa, and listen to his vinyl collection, which ranged from Gustav Mahler to his hero Frank Zappa. And the vinyl collection had also become his kitty cat's scratching post. Very Titillo vibe. He was a working class fellow from un barrio marginal, from the other side of the tracks, but he was also a philosophical ponderer of the cosmos, an ecstatic dance aficionado, a shadow puppeteer, and a lighting guru. Very colorful person. His story is kind of sad. He suffered great loss in Argentina's CIA-backed military regime, the dictatorship of Jorge Rafael Videla. And a lot of his friends were desaparecidos, the disappeared generation of young Argentinian intellectuals and artists that were sadistically murdered in cold blood, 30-some thousand of them. And Titillo escaped that carnage narrowly, but he carried the scars forward. And he embodied this concept from Argentina, which I think is really important to us in the States right now. This idea of la existencia es resistencia. Existence is resistance. Existence itself is resistance. Everything that the fascists tried to destroy in Titillo stayed alive in him. And then he passed it along to his friends, like me. And he exposed me to all these amazing South American folk musicians that used their rural art forms to speak truth to power, like Víctor Jara, Violeta Parra, Atahualpa Yupanqui. And anyway, I wrote this next song as a tip of the hat to those musicians, but also in honor of people like Titillo, people who keep the little flame alive in dark times. This was his favorite song of mine, and I'd like to do it for you now. It's called Prisionero, Prisoner. I'll start that over. Sorry. Picazón ardiente de un corazón gastado coquetea con la maldad, se niega del pasado y nos arrastra al sufrir. Igual yo le hago frente con mi banjo curandero, mi arma, mi aliento, querido compañero que derrumba tiranía. Prisionero de tu frío corazón, vida. Ando libre por la sierra de alto monte, vai. Nadie me diga dónde tengo que parar. Los dueños de este mundo, bichitos caprichosos, acechan como lobos, se aprovechan de nosotros por su codicia del poder. Es triste su camino, con alma desquiciada, caen sobre su propio pan, terminan en la nada, náquenos de la verdad. Prisionero de tu frío corazón, vida. Ando libre por la sierra de alto monte, vai. Nadie me diga dónde tengo que parar. ay, ando libre por la sierra de Alto Monte, ay.
Well, folks, before Joe continues on with his stories and songs, I'd like to take a moment to remind you all that Red Barn live streams, both tonight's and on any Wednesday, remain available online for you to view at your convenience. Along with live audio streams, compliments of WGAD.net in Central New York. Don't miss a single episode of our program. Be sure to tell your friends and share what it is that you like about Red Barn Radio. Many of you know that the Red Barn Radio merch store is open. You can show your support for our program by getting some RBR swag. Off camera, now back on camera. For instance, this fine mug item here, which will hold your favorite coffee or other beverage that you might enjoy. This is a fine item. I recommend you buy one for yourself and a couple for each of maybe 100 or so friends. That'd be great. Great to have you come to the store. And look, we always have new items. There's, for instance, we've added Red Barn Radio. Let's see. What is that other item we've added, Ed?
That was the hoodie device.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's a 3-panel hoodie.
Yes, it is, in several colors.
In several colors, says that. All right, so 3-panel hoodie in multiple colors. There's stickers, there's all kinds of stuff that you would expect at a merch store, and we just want you to visit, so please do. Show your support for the program, won't you? Our guest next week is Phillips Sailor Weiser. His work has been called 21st Century Dust Bowl Americana. He's winner of the 2021 Whammy Award for Best Folk Album called Distant. Weiser has spent nearly 3 decades honing his craft. He's a founding member of the Shiftless Rounders and fervent practitioner of shape note singing. He's absorbed the harmonic notions of American roots music the old way through oral tradition, gritty street corner sessions in D.C. encampments, and countless hours diving deep into the Appalachian ocean of old-time banjo and balladry. It's really climbing into the Appalachian mountains of old-time banjo and balladry. Weiser has also shared stages with people like Tommy Prine, John R. Miller, Danny Barnes, Les Claypool, the Be Good Tanyas, among others. Many of these folks have been right here on this stage. He's played everywhere from concert halls to homeless encampments across all 48 lower states and every Canadian province. This is going to be a fun time. Mr. Weiser performs solo, now under the name Strip Mall Ballads. Be sure to join us next week for an evening of Strip Mall Ballads. Phillips Sailor Weiser on Red Barn Radio. Sound fun, huh?
That does.
It's going to be a great show, yeah. You should be sure you listen. Let's get back to some more music with Joe Troop.
All right.
All right, Joe.
All right. Well, so since we're in Kentucky, I guess I ought to do the song that reflects my last couple years in Buenos Aires, which were what I refer to as a whirlwind. I had a lot of drama in my life, and I tried to escape into the bottle, and that only made things worse, as a lot of people in the state of Kentucky probably realize. And anyhow, that's what this song is about. It's about that moment in life, and it's called Whirlwind. Had a hair in my mouth. Let me take that out. It's hard to sing with a hair in your mouth. I'm in trouble I suppose. Cornered and latching down doors, my whole damn world is a storm. I don't want to hurt anymore. I'm lost in a whirlwind. Lost in a whirlwind. I've been climbing up walls, raking around the floor. I'm on overload. Feels like I'm kind of lost in a whirlwind. Lost in a whirlwind. I've been climbing up walls, drinking my life away. I want to move on. I'm lost in a whirlwind. Lost in a whirlwind. So yeah, there I was, lost in my old whirlwind, which everyone can relate to, I'm sure, because life will grab you by the neck at times. Anyway, it started to dawn on me that the whirlwind engulfing my life was of my own creation at a certain point, and I realized that to find reprieve from it, I was going to have to do some serious hard work. So I started working on myself, started drinking less, tried to be calmer. And right when I was making headway and all that, in the most auspicious timing possible, Titisho, my best friend, my confidant, my father figure from down there, if you will, well, he had this massive stroke and he passed away in January of 2020. And as his community gathered around in mourning, we were struck by the vastness of his love, by the reach of one man's spirit. And as we sang and danced together around this altar that his daughter Almendra had erected in his honor, we were able to collectively cry tears of joy. And the simple act of celebrating our friend's life, it sent these great billowing winds into our sails. And as Titisho started skipping across mandalas in the great beyond, this next song came to me in a dream, and it's called Titisho. It's kind of high, so I'm going to have to do that thing. Baila, Titi, baila más, por el universo vas, pisando mandalas al andar. Guíame en mi caminar con tu brillo celestial. Guíame con los zorzales del amanecer. In every note I sing, in every stroke across the strings, friend, I remember you. All right. Thank you. So, let's see. Ooh, all these songs are such an adventure, you know? Get out of one and then you go to the next one. Titillo's death was a monumental happening in my life. It reminded me, oh, life is short. Let's stop messing around here. So I was able to make some great changes. I was able to leave a relationship from someone that I greatly loved, but I couldn't continue to be with. Our relationship had run its course. So I left a marriage. Anyone who's done that knows it's hell. It's very, very hard to do. But I did it. I broke a lease on a house. I moved all of my stuff into storage. And then I struck out with Che Apalache on tour to the United States in February of 2020. And interestingly enough, when I hopped on that plane in Buenos Aires to come tour the United States, my time in Argentina had drawn to a close, unbeknownst to me. I guess that tour was destined to be my inadvertent homecoming because we squeaked out 4 weeks of an 11-week tour, but we were in Richmond, Kentucky at my friend John and Kathy's house on March 15th or March 13th, or one of those days, when, you know, that day where everyone was like, oh man, this is happening. Well, I happened to be at their house, thank God. I was with good people, and decisions had to be made in their living room. My bandmates decided to take the last commercial flights back to their respective countries of Mexico and Argentina, and I decided to hunker down in North Carolina and ride out what I thought was going to be a few weeks of pandemic, then get right back at it, but that didn't happen. So as the months continued onward, I started looking for job opportunities in a pandemic, and luckily I got commissioned to do a Get Out the Vote campaign, to do this web doc series, to produce for 15 weeks a short documentary every week in which I would interview a progressive person, leader from North Carolina, and curate music for each episode. So I sort of became the Anthony Bourdain of social justice music in North Carolina for a very short time. And it was the name of that series is still online. It's on YouTube. It's called Pickin' for Progress. And for Pickin' for Progress, I just cranked out songs. And I'd like to do one of them. This is one that I wrote for an interview I did of two young ladies who were environmental activists in the Extinction Rebellion movement. One of them was Vietnamese American, the other was Colombian American. So I tried to draw influences from Southeast Asian music and South American music in this weird concoction, which addresses climate change. This is one called Horizon. Mother Earth is burning, holy hell, the flames. Cinders rain down hard across creation. Deadly waters rising, frightful hurricanes. What we've left for future generation. Sit and blame each other, wasting precious time. Day by day, a more divided nation. Some folks spread confusion, others tend to fires, boldly voicing righteous proclamation. Love and rage make progress when they are combined, waking southern minds with celebration. Call your friends and neighbors, what is right is right. Let us not give in to Earth's damnation. Valiente juventud nos llaman a la lucha, entre amor y rabia nos apelan. Generación de fuerza, manteniendo abiertas las puertas de la extinción rebelión.
Joe, I'd like to go, if we could, before we sort of, we're moving forward, but I want to go back to Japan.
Yeah.
You talked about your time there. You played a song that had, in my mind, had a lot of tones and that expressed itself in such a way that reminded me of whatever my notion is of Japanese folk music.
Totally. Minyo, the
Yeah.
songs of the people.
Okay. Do you feel like you speak Japanese fluently? Do you have much
I speak-
opportunity to practice it?
I don't have much opportunity to practice it these days, and I lived there, 20 years ago. So,
okay.
but I brushed up on the language in 2017 and went back, and I have, intermittently been brushing it up. But I can still speak Japanese.
Yeah. And is it
Ichio dakedo.
your intention to get back into some of the sort of musical territory that you found yourself in there, or do you continue to explore that?
I love, there's this region, Tohoku, northern part of the main island, Honshu, like specifically Aomoriken, which is the prefecture of Aomori, where they play this beautiful folk music. And they, tsugaru shamisen is, the tsugaru banjo is so poppin'. Like, I mean, there's these cats over there. There's this one woman I discovered recently. She plays the banjo and sings, and they give these like yelps as they're about to like really drive it, whoop, and then they're like, it's really cool. It's through a different lens, but it reminds me of like Jim Mills or like cranking Southern banjo players. But they play with this huge, like sort of looks like a tortoise shell or some sort of maybe ivory. I don't know what it is, but it's this big, like, almost looks like a comb, but without indentations. And they just like spank the tar out of the strings, and it's so cool. But in another life, I got obligations and bills to pay and a whole life in North Carolina, and I love it, and I'm glad that I had these experiences when I had them.
Yeah.
If I didn't have responsibilities and a family and all that stuff, I go fly to Japan tomorrow and go hog wild on some Mino. But it's not in the cards right now. But yeah, I do like exploring that music still. And you never know what's going to happen. I didn't expect for a Venezuelan dude to wind up in North Carolina and form a duo with him.
Right.
I love Venezuelan music. I just got very fortunate. So maybe a traditional Japanese musician will move to the Triangle.
Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be awesome. I'd be the first, like, hey, dude, let's play some music,
Well, I want to talk some more about Lottie and have you catch me up on him. It's just you have so many different influences. When I think about your story is just fascinating, from Doc Watson to the man on the streets of Seville playing the accordion on his lap, and it's just fascinating. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about some sort of musical inspiration that you found from some place that might sort of surprise us, or maybe even that has surprised you.
Well, Morocco.
Huh.
So when I was in southern Spain, I was able to travel to Morocco back and forth. I don't play anything of that music. I have too much respect for it to even try to work something up. But honestly, that's a place that I've been. So of course the folk music really resonated with me. Almost everywhere you go on earth, there's something special. And for a Moroccan, if they show up in Appalachia and hear our string band tradition, they're going to be as mesmerized as I was by listening to what they call like kamanja, which is their fiddle style in Morocco. I think the world is just too big, and I've gotten far enough into life that I realized I'm not going to see it all. I thought when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to see it all. I'm going to speak all languages. And then now I'm realizing, oh, no, I'm not going to see any of it, hardly. Just the little tiny glimpses of what I've been able to see.
Yeah.
It's a very diverse and beautiful world out there. I love the cultural diversity and all that can give you. Here in the States, we're lucky because there's such beautiful immigrant communities that bring their folk music traditions and out into the open. There's festivals. One of the biggest festivals of Venezuelan folk music happens in North Carolina, La Tarde de Janeiro, in Graham, in a little tiny town. So, fortunately in the United States, there's a lot of opportunity to see music from elsewhere without having to pay for plane tickets and make up some reason to go work.
Yeah, I hope that continues to be the case.
Me too.
So, what's involved? I remember when you were here with Lottie. I think at that point in time, Lottie and his wife had perhaps filled out an application
for asylum.
An asylum application, and I was wondering, was that ever fully processed? Were they able to, get that done before a new administration was in place?
Well, so the asylum program for I'm not sure if it was for asylum seekers from every country, but they enacted this first in, last out policy, or last in, first out policy to process the asylum. So Lottie's family entered into the asylum program, I believe, in 2016 or 17, something like that. But so the USCIS is now processing the most recent arrivals, which is tough. It's very unfortunate for people who applied for asylum a long time ago. There were so many cases that they got overwhelmed, and now they're just processing the most recent people coming in now. So they haven't gotten their interview yet. They're still waiting on it.
Okay.
But that's them and hundreds of thousands of other people.
Well, I guess, when I think of that, the two of you traveling together, I just wonder how you found yourselves reckoning with the current political climate surrounding immigration. Is like, for instance, is Lottie afraid when you travel?
There have been moments. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look what's happened. It's vigilantism. There's a overstepping of the Constitution. We have a fascist government in the United States right now. I speak for myself. I don't speak for Larry. Larry is an asylum seeker. He's gonna he has to be cautious about talking about anything. You know what I mean? Like he can't, because he could hurt himself inadvertently. But what's happening in the United States is unconstitutional on so many levels, and it's very frightening. Especially when the armament of the state is just kind of randos that got a signing bonus, and it ain't a pretty picture.
Well, I'm kind of wondering how he stays, how Lottie in the midst of that, how he stays inspired and
music, folk music. We're both the same way. Like that goes back to Titisho, who I spoke about, and this la existencia resistencia. Existence is resistance. Existing in the face of people telling you not to exist is a pretty powerful protest. The simple act of continuing to, embody what the change that you want to see in the world is, I think, a pretty powerful commitment. Larry's doing okay.
Good. We love him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, there's tons of great people who are having to deal with very scary situations. When ICE brought their operation to North Carolina, we happened to be on tour. We were in St. Louis, and Larry was stressed out to the max because he's, trying to explaining to his daughter why she's not going to school for several days. Why? It's hard to explain to a 12-year-old why. So as a parent,
grader,
it's a situation that's humiliating, it's enraging, it's sad, it's terrifying. It's a lot of emotions. So I can't speak for what he's part of that community. I can't speak for what he's experiencing. And plus, a lot of migrants who come here have already been through very intense circumstances. So it's doubly traumatic, So I feel for them. I don't know what they're feeling. I don't have that experience. I don't have that lived experience.
Huh. Well, tell Lottie hello for us.
Yeah, we'll be back to Kentucky.
Yeah, we'd love to see him.
I mean, he calls Kathy over there. He calls her Mama Kati.
Oh, all right.
And she says, "Hey, baby," and she gives him a big old kiss every time. Isn't that right?
All right.
So we got good friends, there's knuckleheads out there that for some reason or another just are hateful. I don't know why. But I think most people are compassionate. I just think that, billionaires, in order to, keep their power, are, pitting us against each other as they're laughing all the way to the bank. That's what's really happening. What's happening in the United States is another example of a tremendously, increasingly, what do you call it? Like a Machiavellian an increasingly absurd class divide. Billionaires, and then we can't even pay the bills. I mean, that's kind of what everybody down here on Earth is like, how am I going to keep up with all this? I feel it. I'm sure you feel it. I'm sure everyone feels it. And then at the same time, these sociopaths are toying with us through propaganda machines, and we're just bickering against each other. When really, if we were able to unite against their antics and push back, we'd be the better for it.
So when you're traveling with the Truth Machine, which I would love to, the Truth Machine, who might have come here and maybe can at some point in time.
Would love to.
Yeah. Do you all? I know you sing some songs of protest. Do you also sing some songs of
love songs
and kindness?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Protest songs and love songs.
Nice. What do you have? What do you have coming up?
Well, the Truth Machine is putting out an album on April 3rd.
Yeah.
Our debut EP.
All right.
So that's going to be fun. April 3rd, dropping a 5-song EP, a 5-song album. It's called Joe Troop's Truth Machine. Songs that I've written, protest music, political satire, and love songs. So would love to see some people at our gigs. And, yeah, we're going to keep sticking it to the man, as they say.
Well, it's great to have you back here with us. And tell us about the next couple of songs you have coming up.
Well, I'm actually going to do one about kind of it's a heavy topic, actually. It's about a migrant who I didn't know, but a migrant who was trying to cross the Sonoran Desert into the United States and didn't make it, a 16-year-old. And I've been able to hang out with some religious leaders in the borderlands, both in Mexico, my friend Manalica, who runs a shelter for migrants in Sonora, Mexico, in Nogales, and also my buddy Randy, who's a pastor at a church in Sahuarita, Arizona, in southern Arizona. They kind of work together to cater to the most vulnerable people on earth, which are these migrants. Migrants crossing a desert the Sonoran Desert is a terrible place to take a walk. It's horrible. There's a million things that can poke you or bite you or kill you. And all across the Sonoran Desert, I know this because these people that I mentioned took me out on desert walks to see with my own eyes what migrants go through in the desert. And you'll see crosses all over the horizon, and those crosses were placed by these people who embody Christ in their action. They're not like the people in power who are demagogues and are stoking the flames of Christian nationalism. No, these are real Christians that cater to the most vulnerable people, that actually put action into the world. I really respect these people. Anyway, they placed crosses where human remains were found to honor them, you know? And there was this one cross that caught my attention. It said, adolescente desconocido, unknown adolescent. And I asked my host, like, what's up with that cross? And they said, well, that was a place where a 16-year-old kid died. And then right over the hill from that kid, there was this big house with a huge swimming pool with water pumped in from the Colorado River Basin, which is many, many, many miles away. And this, the whole of this imagery just really stuck with me. I was like, oh my Lord, this kid died in their backyard. And they're pumping water in from 1,000 miles away. It was just a lot to take in. So I decided to write a song for that kid. And it's called Mercy for Migrants. And it's on the Truth Machine album that is forthcoming, April 3rd.
Welcome back, Joe Troop.
Desperate hopes of salvation forced you to leave your native land. Doomed was the road of migration, left you to die out on the sands. Who's gonna send for your mother, longing for her son? Why aren't we there for each other? Mercy is for everyone. We know not your name, star-crossed stranger. Few are the clues you left behind, valiantly facing grave danger, longing for peace, your only crime. Who's gonna send for your mother, longing for her son? Why aren't we there for each other? Mercy is for everyone. Ooh. So while I was in Mexico, this friend from North Carolina reached out, and she said, dude, you're a career musician. You're working with asylum seekers on the border. You should hear about this asylum seeker who's a career musician who's working construction in Raleigh. And she sent me videos of Larry. And then I immediately knew I was destined to collaborate with this dude, so I cold called him. And I said, hey, man, you want to play some gigs? And he was like, yeah, who's this crazy gringo? But anyway, we met up in December of 2021 for the first time, did a residency in Durham. Sparks flew. We got an immediate standing ovation, and we decided to do something with that project. I moved to Durham to pursue the duo. And within a year, Larry was able to leave construction and start playing music full-time. And since we met, we've played over 400 gigs in 39 states at this point. And anyway, along the way, he's taught me all kinds of Venezuelan music, and I'm going to play one of the many pieces he had me learn. This is a very old Venezuelan waltz called La Partida. All right. Well, so that takes me back to North Carolina, so I guess I ought to crank one out to show off my roots a little bit. This is I'm going to round out this set with a bluegrass song. Again, this is one that I do with the Truth Machine. It's kind of expresses my optimism. I do a lot of educational outreach with Larry. Larry and Joe is like the educational outreach duo. We do a fully bilingual program for children. And if you ever get down in the dumps, go hang out with a bunch of kids and you will be inspired, because the coming generations are strong generations. So I'm very excited for what they're going to be able to do. And I think this song fits into that ethos. It's one called Love Along the Way. And it's a feel-good bluegrass song to round things out. All across this country from the east to the west, everywhere I go I find the same old mess. Good-hearted people doing the best they can with a mucked-up system that don't give a damn. But I'll hold your hand if you hold mine. Life on earth is borrowed time, and as long as we're living, we ought to strive to love along the way. I depend on you, neighbor. What we need is change. Let our heels hit the pavement and the peace flag wave. Clear across the mountains or the prairies wide, there's a new day at dawning, but we can't waste time. I'll hold your hand if you hold mine. Life on earth is borrowed time, and as long as we're living, we ought to strive to love along the way. Well, hark hallelujah when that banjo rings. I can hear the sacred spirit coming off the strings. Sisters and brothers, won't you sing with me? 'Cause there ain't no greater force on earth than unity. I'll hold your hand if you hold mine. Life on earth is borrowed time, and as long as we're living, we ought to strive to love along the way. Yes, Lord, as long as we're living, we ought to strive to love along the way.
All right. Well, there are so many people to thank for our broadcast. First and foremost, Joe Troop, our guest on this program. In a close second is all of you who are listening to our webcast, watching us on social media, and those listening to us on our growing network of Red Barn stations and media worldwide. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn's premier radio partner, Central and Eastern Kentucky's radio news leader. You can listen online at weku.org. It's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, please check out our Red Barn TV program. It's our weekly program of music, now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Lex Arts Performance Hall in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and our program. We're on the web at redbarnradio.com. Hey, check that merch link too. Buy one of those cups. Before we close out the program, Let's bring back Joe Troop for one more number. What you gonna do now? Silver Lining. I love
Silver
this
Lining,
song.
yeah.
It's beautiful. Another optimistic one.
Yeah, it's about.
I mean, I can feel pessimistic as well as anybody else, but
we
it's,
all
it's
can.
nice. It's
we have
nice.
to oscillate between
Yeah,
pessimism
we do.
and optimism.
And I just love Silver Lining.
Thank you, man. Well, this is one that I wrote for my sweetheart, and it's about the unexpected, wonderful things that come out of tough times, right? So I'll leave everyone with this little taste of Venezuelan calypso. Storm hit, babe, I never even knew you were my neighbor. Fierce winds howled and trees went flying. You showed up amidst the lightning. You held my hand as waters rose. We pulled in close and struck a pose. And right there with the world collapsing, you and me were moonlight dancing. Que por bien no venga. Ever since the day I met you, I've been feeling all new kinds of joy. Your honest love has healed my heart and given me a brand new start. Buy yourselves a Hamlet banjo, all right?
Well, that's all for our show for this week, folks. Remember, you can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide as we stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. It's always great to hear from all of you, too, who listen to Red Barn Radio's archive performances on your favorite streaming platforms. Speaking of you, folks, before, during, or after you enjoy Red Barn Radio, take just a moment, won't you, to engage with us. Your comments, your sharing, your choice to subscribe keeps us growing and continuing our mission to bring roots music Southern style to your neck of the woods and beyond. Now we bid you good night. Let's stick together, let's appreciate each other, and let's join up again for another great evening of music and conversation on Red Barn Radio. I'm Bradford Becker. See you soon.